Good morning. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Not yet. We want to do this so that you can all follow along step by step. So we're going to do a quick intro and then we're going to get peeling. So first thing, before I even say hello, please put your ovens onto 180 Celsius. That is not fan forced. Please try and know your oven. It's just a regular, the temperature that you'd bake most things on would be 180. So that's what this cake is being baked on. Then we're going to talk about cake tins. No, I'll introduce us first. I'm Lisa. This is Natanya.
Hi.
We are half of the Monday Morning Cooking Club, and we are so pleased to be here today to do a cook along with you for a cinnamon apple pie. We've never done anything on a Friday before, but we thought it would be nice to see if we could do a cook along so that you'll all have dessert for tonight or afternoon tea for the weekend. Like, to me, it's a good idea. Some people think people are busy on a Friday, but I know that people in Melbourne, this is it, and I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, hope you all get a beautiful cake at the end of it. Cake tin. The recipe is huge. We were talking about it this morning and thought we probably should have halved the recipe. It makes a cake this size. It's really big. It feeds about, the recipe says 10. It's actually more like 16, I think. It's a very big cake. So you could easily half it and just use a smaller tin, probably a 20 would be right, or a 22. So we're using a 26 and we're just going to line the tin. You could also, talk
while
about
you're
that.
lining it. The other way that you can make this cake is in a ceramic dish. This one you take out of the tin and then it stands alone. This one, I have actually switched from doing it in the tin to this when I am serving it as a dessert. So like if we're making it for Friday night to serve at the end of my meal, I like to make it in this and then you serve it straight out of this.
You'd have to do fewer apples probably.
Yes, it doesn't fit as many apples as the recipe says, depending on what the size of your ceramic dish, of course,
and the size of your apples. Actually.
But you don't get the height that you get in the cake. But it does make a beautiful dessert, and then it's also really nice to serve it warm.
Okay, so somebody's asked, Isabel's asked, her oven is fan forced only. Is that okay? It's an old one. Yeah, mine also. So yes, 180 is fine. But just watch
keep
it.
an eye on it.
So I'm going to show you, this is how I line a tin. So I get the tin, I get this spray, which is quite hideous to taste, but it's not going to touch the food. I call it glue. And this is just Coles canola oil. And I'm going to spray the whole inside of the cake tin. And I've cut a square from the roll, which is going to be just bigger than the thing. I'm going to undo it. I'm putting the paper on top of the base and I'm clicking it back in. So there's no stencil drawing, there's no cutting, and I just leave it like that because this cake, if you want to take it out of the tin to serve it, you need to have baking paper. You'll see when we get it out to lift it out. So, and then for the edges, I just sort of eyeball the size, the height, and for this tin, I'll need 3.
And of course, if you're using a ceramic dish, you would just give it a light oil before you start layering your apples straight into it.
As this is a dairy-free cake, we're not going to butter anything or add any butter to it. So I'm going to do this. And you know how the paper curls one way? I always put it the opposite way so that it curls towards the edge rather than comes off the edge. So this is how I line it. Okay, so let's talk about the ingredients. We are going to need 6 to 8 Granny Smith apples.
Okay, and now I'm going to start peeling them.
No, you can't. I'm just going to run through the ingredients.
Oh, okay, sorry.
One sec, because everyone's going to listen what we need. We need 6 to 8 Granny Smith. These are giant. 6 would be enough. If yours are small, use 8 or 9. You need 1.5 cups of caster sugar, which is 345 grams. 3 eggs. 1.5 cups of oil. We are using grape seed oil. You could use extra light olive oil. You could use vegetable canola, whatever your non-flavored oil is. Okay, and vanilla, as we spoke about, 2 or 3 teaspoons, depending on what you're using, and 1.5 cups to 25 grams of plain flour. There is no raising agent in this cake because it's more of a pie cake than a cake. Yes. All right, so let's start peeling apples. Does it work with gluten-free flour? Has anyone made it with gluten-free flour? I think so, actually.
I think you probably
I think it's worth a try
with this recipe.
Okay, I'm going to put this over here.
You could also, if you wanted to, you could use, flour, you could could use, it doesn't, or a whole wheat flour. It doesn't have to be a plain white flour.
Okay. Yes, I needed that cupboard open.
Okay, and now I am.
Okay, so
Peeling.
everybody has put the oven on and it's time to start peeling the apples. And I'm not going to help Natty because
she's mean.
because everybody's doing it at the same time, and I don't want us to go ahead of you because there are two of us in the kitchen, especially if you've just got one of you in the kitchen doing it. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Maya. I'm very happy with that spring form lining method. It's very easy and quick without cutting a circle. Yeah. Is sunflower oil okay? Absolutely, Tanya. Perfect. It depends what oil you like to use. And, you know, I've spoken about oils before. The advice from the world of oils changes every 6 months to a year. And so we keep changing as we follow the trend. But I've got to say olive oil's always been the one. I have to say through the coconut oil, through the grapeseed oil, through the everything else. Olive oil is the one that just comes out time after time again as being ahead of the others.
And you could actually use an olive oil in this. I mean, you would get some flavour of it, but I don't think it would be bad. I think it would go quite nicely.
I want to tell you about, I'll tell you about the cake, but I just want to talk about tins. So I'm just going to chat a bit while you're all peeling. So hopefully you're all peeling away. Let's just talk about tins for a minute, because it's been a bit of a gripe for us over the years when we're writing recipes, because tins that say, this tin says it is 26 centimetres, okay? And when I get my ruler, which I had 1 second ago, and I measure the base, which is how you're supposed to measure a cake tin, from edge to edge, I get 24, okay? So this 26 centimetre Kaiser tin is actually 24. So what I do is I get a permanent marker and I write on the bottom what it truly is, so that it doesn't really write very well. But anyway, 24, so that my tins are labelled correctly. So I've just put it on the bottom. And this one is this other brand, also Kaiser, and the 26 actually is 26. So just a little thing on tins. So measure the base if you want to know the exact measurement of it. And we go for our recipes from the base measurement. There. Okay. I just want to tell you about this recipe. So this recipe was in our first book, which is this one here. That one with the 2 hands on the cover. That book was released, we published it in 2011. It took us 5 years to write from when we got together in 2006. And this book contains recipes from our Sydney community. It's really friends of friends and friends of friends and friends, and recipes from our own families and our own mothers and grandmothers. And it's very much our story in this book. And this recipe comes from Maxine Pakanowski, who is famous in her circle and family for this cake. Yeah. And she's been making it for many, many, many years. Yeah, Linda says she can't believe she never marked the size on the spring form and always got a ruler out. I know.
Don't worry, I still get a ruler out every time I take a tin.
So this recipe, I think, has been one of the most well-known, famous Monday morning cooking club recipes. It all started with Chrissy, who was first, Chrissy Swan or Nigella Lawson?
I think
Nigella. So on the 8th of August 2011, and I do remember the date, Nigella placed an order for this book online. I was the one getting the book orders. I was sitting at my computer at like midnight one night, and I see an order come in for Nigella Lawson, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe Nigella's just ordered our book. And I didn't believe it was real. So of course I Googled the address and it actually was her. And that was the most exciting moment. And I couldn't ring anyone because it was like midnight or something, but I was running around my desk like a crazy person. And it was very, very exciting. And she'd seen the book in a window at Bondi Beach when she was visiting Australia that summer. And
no, I think it was just before she was leaving, and it was at night, and
that's right. The bookshop was closed, and she saw it in the window, and she said, "I just have to have that book." And she went back home and ordered it. And then she wrote about this apple pie in the book, and she made it with blackberries. I think she added blackberries to it. So she sort of made it her own, and we were really excited and really proud that our little recipe from Sydney had gone to Nigella Lawson. And it's still on her website, actually. Can we translate for American equivalents, Barbara? Yes, we will.
Well, you could just go by cups, actually.
Yeah, so it's 1.5 cups of sugar, 1.5 cups of oil, and 1.5 cups of flour, and 3 eggs. Your cups are a little bit smaller, but I actually don't think for this recipe the 10 ml difference is going to make any difference. So I'd go 1.5 cups for each, 3 eggs. Everything else is the same. Hi, why are our eggs only white? Our eggs?
Oh, that's the oil. That's not the eggs.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
We haven't
cracked them yet.
Yeah.
Good question. Okay, so Nigella Lawson and the cake was very exciting, but then it gets not better, but even more exciting, because we were going to go on The Circle. Remember back in the day, there was a show called The Circle on Channel 10 with Chrissy Swan and Yumi Steins. It was actually a really fun morning show. Yeah. And they had got a copy of our book, I think from the publicist, and they were supposed to get someone on one morning, and there was a plane strike and they didn't turn up. So they went to our book and they made this apple pie on TV from our book.
Yeah.
I should go and look for the clip actually. And Chrissy Swan called it a life-changing apple pie. And why it's life-changing, you'll see, because apart from peeling the apples, apart from that, it's a 5-minute cake. So that's the story of the cake.
So I've peeled, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, go.
I've peeled my apples and now I'm going to start slicing them. And Lisa, I know it's only meant to be one of us, but you can layer them into the tin while I slice.
I don't know, what does everyone think? Should Natty do it all and I just stand here? What do you think? So what we're doing now is we're going to slice the apple. So this cake is basically a layer of sliced apples and then the batter, and then cinnamon sugar and then the batter. So there's 3 elements to this cake, and then it goes in the oven.
What I do is I
get nervous cutting towards your fingers.
I know, and I've really tried to change over the years, and I just can't.
Can I show you what I have to tell you what my mum taught me.
But I just want to show them what I do. The type of I slice, I quarter them, core them, and then slice each quarter into about just really rough.
Like 6.
Yeah, 6 pieces. They're not super thin, just like that.
So yeah, these are huge apples. So I just want to show you what I learnt from my mother. And I always thought this was such a grown-up way to hold a knife. I don't know if anybody can understand me with this. But she holds it like this, and it's such a mother thing to do. And does it like that.
But that's still towards you.
But not really, because you've got your knife there. You've got your thumb there. So it's not, I don't think it's as scary as the way you're doing it.
I know.
Which makes me really nervous.
I know, and you've always said that to me, and I've always tried to change it, and
I just do the core like that.
So.
But the question is, and I was thinking about it last night as I was doing the apples, do you do one apple at a time? Is it better to peel it, cut it, core it, slice one and put it in, and then do the next apple? Or do you prefer to peel them all like you're doing?
Yeah.
Do you always do it this way?
Sometimes I peel a few, slice a few, go back, but actually I think this is the most
time efficient,
effective way.
Because you get
just peel them all.
Yeah.
Then
Leora says much quicker with a mandolin. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You could probably peel and core them whole and then just mandolin them. That's a great idea, actually.
I have to say though, after I cut my finger very badly on a mandolin, I won't go new one. So if I need to cut like that, I'll use my what's it called, food processor with the slicer adapter, but I cannot use a mandolin anymore.
Beth, how much cinnamon? We'll come to the cinnamon in a minute. Nigella also wrote in her book how she changed the quantities for a 23 centimetre springform. Yeah, she made it smaller. Yeah. So I think most people do a peeling and then the cutting. Ricky uses an apple peeler. One of those circular things. Remember those? We all used to have for the kids.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. But I've got an apple peeler here, so it's all good.
Yes.
So if you've got an apple peeler like Natanya in your kitchen, it's all good. No, you didn't miss the cinnamon sugar prep, Fiona. We're going to tell you that in just a minute. Okay.
I just wanted to tell you while Lisa's starting to layer them in, some adaptions. Since we've had this recipe for 2011, for 9 years, over the years, there are a few ways that I have changed it up, and I just wanted to give you some different ideas. So one of them is based on Nigella, and that's adding in berries. It's really beautiful with blueberries. So just cut back on an apple and add a punnet or two of blueberries into the mix, and that's really lovely. Blackberries also work beautifully.
And frozen berries also would be great. Just toss them in frozen.
Yeah.
I said to Natty this morning I'd like to put sultanas in. I mean, I love apple, sultana and cinnamon. She thinks it would be a bit too sweet.
Yeah.
And you might be.
One of the changes that I was going to suggest was also, which is really a little bit out there for you, because I know you
have to keep cutting and talking.
Yes, I'm not good at cutting and talking. Is a layer of, instead of the cinnamon sugar, you could over the apples and under the batter, a layer of caramel would be really beautiful, and then it's an apple caramel pie.
What sort of caramel?
You make a caramel out of
like just sugar, toffee,
no, with because then it's dairy. Yeah, that turns it into a dairy cake, but a beautiful one.
Yeah. Okay. So someone asked if they don't like cinnamon, what could they do?
Oh, and that was my other one.
You could also do orange zest and sugar through the middle.
And then I would add some orange zest into the batter.
Yeah.
And ginger, apple and ginger and cinnamon is a beautiful mix.
So you could actually put ginger and sugar instead of cinnamon and sugar through the middle. I think that would be lovely.
I would just lessen the
but they don't like cinnamon.
Oh, okay. So for that person, take the cinnamon out. But for someone who likes ginger, add a teaspoon of ginger into your cinnamon sugar mix, and then also some what's it called? The soft.
She's got to learn to peel and talk.
The soft sugar.
Why don't we swap?
Yes,
you talk and I'll do.
The soft sugar ginger, I would chop some of that up finely and mix it in with my apple slices into the fruit part, and then add some powdered ginger into your cinnamon part. And that would be a really lovely mix, especially at this time of year in winter. I'm layering this.
Just wait, because they have to do it along. So I just want to answer, food processor to slice the apples, absolutely.
Yes.
Have we done it with pear?
Apple and pear, I wouldn't do it with pear on its own. I think I've probably done definitely an apple and pear mix. I just feel like there's too much of it to be just pear. I don't think it would hold up well. The pear's a little bit too soft.
It would go softer. I think it's worth a try. I think it's worth a try.
Maybe in the pie dish, but definitely apple and pear mixed half would be beautiful.
Okay, so these are huge apples, so we're just going to use 6 of them. So hopefully you're all nearly finished peeling and slicing. How are you all going? So they want to see how to layer the base.
So you can layer it any way you want, but you just want to try and get it an even amount. So you don't want it like on one side more apple than another. So how I do it is and I'll show you, I start by just going all around the edge with a layer and then work my way in.
And then you'll need to
and then repeat it. Yeah, I will. I'll just go around the edge first and show you.
Okay, so hopefully you're all just about finished peeling your 6 Granny Smith apples. We're looking to fill the tin up about 2/3 of the way with apple. That's sort of a general guide. Can you give the amounts to make it in a biggish pie dish?
Like this one.
Yeah, what would you?
Like this one. Well, I actually peel I start with like about 5 or 6 apples, just depending on their size. And I do it till I'm about 2/3 up. And then if I have leftover apple, I just eat it. So I can't tell you exactly because it depends on your pie dish. But
I would guess that one would just be 3 apples.
Yeah, and actually it's a little less batter as well.
Yeah, so I would, because it's got 3 eggs, we always divide things according to the number of eggs because it's just
2/3.
So I would do 2/3 of the batter.
Yeah.
2 eggs and just divide everything else and then put it in that dish.
Exactly.
Okay. So
I'm just going to put the bottom layer in and just show you.
So a good way to slice the apple for me is to hold it crossways like that and squish the sides together, hold them firmly as you cut. So you can actually keep it in one.
So I've done the bottom layer, as you can see. I've just gone all the way around and then worked my way into the center. And now I'm going to do a second layer, filling up. There's all little hot gaps, and you just want to fill up all your little gaps. So you just go around again, filling up all your gaps.
It does require a little bit of patience. I mean, I just was tempted last night to just throw them all in. Can you?
I'm sure people do.
Yeah. So if you can't be bothered layering them, just throw them all in, push it down, give it a shake, and let us know how you go. Okay.
But, it really doesn't take very long.
All right. So I'm just slicing. These are actually lovely apples. Someone asked earlier if they could use Pink Lady apples, and the answer is pretty much Granny Smiths are the best because they're tart and the batter is sweet and there's sugar.
And also they hold their shape very nicely, which is what you want as well.
But I think red apples also hold their shape nicely. So I think...
not all of them. Some of them break down.
I actually find the opposite, that Granny Smiths break down and that Golden Delicious and Red Delicious don't break down as much. Like I would use a Golden Delicious or a Red Delicious in a tatin rather than a Granny Smith because I want it to hold its shape. Anyway, we might do an experiment. Okay, so everyone should now be just finishing their slicing and layering the apples in the bottom of the tin. Okay. Yum, they smell delicious.
Yeah, orange zest through this would be just beautiful.
So for those of you who know Natanya well, know that she loves orange or lemon zest in pretty much
everything,
every single thing. And that's a completely personal taste.
But it would.
I'd rather not. I'd rather keep it simple with vanilla and cinnamon. That's more my sort of taste.
What do you think about the ginger addition?
Yeah, I like ginger, actually. I like the ginger a lot.
Really nice.
So for the person who doesn't like cinnamon, I would actually just try ginger sugar and see what that's like. That'd be quite nice.
No, I think that just a little less ginger. It's very strong. So you wouldn't need quite as much as the cinnamon, I think. But what I like the preserved ginger bits throughout the apple. You just chew on them every now and then. That would be beautiful.
Oh, I'm talking ground ginger.
Yeah, ground ginger with the cinnamon. But I'm saying also add.
If you're a ginger fan.
It's not. Is it crystallized ginger? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The soft, syrupy one. That's the one I want.
I'm not such a crystallized ginger fan, but if you are, it would be really nice.
Then you could add your sultanas, I think. Because you could have sultanas with that, because the ginger would.
All right, how's everybody going? Okay, what about nutmeg instead of cinnamon?
No.
If you love nutmeg, then yes. It's very strong. What would you do with the nutmeg? I mean, you might just put a little pinch in the batter rather. I think, is butter okay instead of oil? It's a different cake. Yeah. This is an oil cake, which has a particular texture and crumb that makes it what it is. A butter cake, I would suggest you just make a butter cake. There's one in our new book that's outstanding, and layer apples in it. I think that's a better option. Or through the middle. I do half the batter, layer of apples, top batter, add some cinnamon sugar if you want. Cake. Yeah, well, that's what this is. True. So someone says, how many layers of apples?
Well, it's I can't tell you exactly how many layers, but you're going about 2/3 full. So you can see we're almost there. Like that's almost enough. And what's really nice is that when you pour the batter in it, you've got little spaces and grooves everywhere and it just seeps through it all. It's beautiful.
A little bit. We were discussing this morning this is called a cinnamon apple pie, but it's not strictly a pie because a pie is usually pastry and filling. But I think it's called a pie because she used to make it in a pie dish.
Yes, because Maxine originally made it in a dish like this, so that's what she gave it that name.
And two, because there's no raising agent in it, so you get quite a stodgy, like not quite a cake. It's not a light cake. Batter. It's more like it's a cross between a cake and a pie crust to me, exactly in the middle. And it's unique, and you can see how quick it is, apart from peeling the apples.
I think we can stop.
Okay, we'll stop. One more.
I don't think so. Look, do you want to go higher?
Yeah, go one more.
That's 2/3, really. But we can go. I can fill in a few little gaps.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully everybody is at the same stage as us. Does the finished cake freeze well? I don't think so.
No, I don't like to freeze.
It's too fruity. There's too much fruit in it. It might. It's not like freezing a butter cake or a carrot cake that's sort of quite It doesn't have, the liquid's the problem in the freezer, I think, with a cake. So I would say no.
I would stop there.
Okay.
I'll just show
We're going to stop there.
We've gone right almost to the top.
Yeah. It's probably 3/4 more than 2/3. It's very full, but it doesn't matter because what will happen is as they cook, they will settle.
You just want to try and get it even.
All right, I'm just going to pop this away.
There we go. And we are ready to make the batter.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. So okay. I'm going to start with the eggs.
So what?
It's always a good idea to just look at your eggs, check that they're not off or anything before you put them in. So I always do that into a glass first. I've told some of you the story. I think that when my daughter was making shakshuka with like 18 eggs for friends, a big pot on the stove, and she was just cracking them straight into the sauce, and the 18th egg was off and ruined the whole thing. So that's a very good lesson. Okay, 3 eggs.
So I'm just going to start by mixing that up.
So Maddie's using the paddle beater or the K beater. I did mine last night with the whisk attachment. I just don't think it matters.
And into the eggs, 3 eggs, I'm adding my 1.5 cups of sugar, and we're going to beat that up. You could also use a handheld beater here.
Yeah.
You don't need
like a bar. You could use a bar mix even.
Yeah.
You just want to get them light and fluffy and something. Okay, so everyone should be beating their eggs and their sugar together. Just eggs and sugar at this stage.
And we're just going to give that a mix till the colour lightens, the sugars dissolve, and you get a creamy texture.
And the thing we've told you often about when you beat eggs and sugar is don't put them in the same mixing bowl before you mix them together, because the sugar will cook the egg yolk and you'll get these little granules of solid protein that you'll never get rid of. So keep them separate until you're ready to mix them. Does the bar mix work well with all cake batters?
No, not all cake batters.
Depends what you're making. I think all cake bases it would work well. If you've got to make a chiffon with egg whites, you'd need a whisk for that part of it. But
and also we're only doing up to the flour stage in the machine, and then we're going to fold the flour in separately so you get a lighter mix. So you have to be careful with the bar mix in that case.
Yeah. Susan says, do we always use caster sugar, which is superfine in the US?
Yes.
Or is that the way all Australian sugar is formed? We always use caster sugar. In Australian supermarkets, we sell caster and white, and they're the same sugar, but caster is just more processed and the grains are finer. If you only have white sugar, it's also fine to use. I mean, you know, caster sugar hasn't been here forever. The cakes have worked for centuries. So,
but you would then mix it for longer.
Just, you know, the idea is that the caster sugar grains dissolve quicker because they're smaller.
Yeah. And I can already see now that the colour of my batter, it has gone much lighter from mixing it. Okay. So and I feel like I can already start adding my oil.
Okay, so Juliana, we are beating together 3 eggs and 1.5 cups of caster sugar. I'm going to just hold this for you so you can show them.
Okay. Creamy and light and all mixed up. So that's...
And if I feel it, hold on a minute. The idea is that the sugar should be dissolved. Is that all right? So I still can feel the grain. So don't worry about getting a smooth mixture without grains, but they're starting to dissolve. And Ellie wants to know, can we use Rapadura sugar?
No, that won't break down. Then it wouldn't dissolve into the egg. It would stay crystallized, and you don't want that for this batter. You could sprinkle it on top though, it would be beautiful.
Or through the middle with the cinnamon sugar as well. You could do that if you were happy to have a crunchy layer.
Yes, that's right. So now I'm going to add in, I'm just going to turn the machine down a little bit so it doesn't fly everywhere. And I'm going to add in my oil.
And it's not that she's trying to make a mayonnaise and adding it slowly. It's just that if you put it all in at once, it just is going to splash up into your face. Okay, Juliana, no, all we've done is the eggs and the sugar so far, and now we're adding in 1.5 cups of oil, and use any oil except extra virgin. I mean, if you only had extra virgin at home, someone asked earlier, that's all you had, yes, use it. Absolutely.
And I'm just turning it back up to give it a good mix. Oh, and I also want to add in my vanilla.
Can I do that?
Yep.
So vanilla, we're putting in a couple of teaspoons. I just never measure vanilla.
No, neither do I. Give that a good mix. You actually really want that oil to incorporate into the batter. So give it a mix for a few minutes. Then we're going to stop and fold in the flour.
Okay. Because we've used that lovely vanilla, we've got a batter that is has vanilla specks through it, which is just lovely.
Yeah.
Can you sprinkle the cinnamon sugar through the apple layers? Bella, no, we haven't yet. We're going to put that on later. We haven't talked about the cinnamon sugar yet. We're just doing the batter. We're just on the apples. Now we're doing the batter, and next thing before we pour the batter on, we're going to talk about cinnamon sugar. Okay. Now because we're putting, because we are putting flour into this very thick batter, I'm not a flour sifter. I would prefer to just put a colander or a sieve over it, just so it goes in a little bit more evenly. Just as, because you don't want to overmix it, it just makes it a little bit easier to mix it through. It's not for lightening it or anything like that. It just helps it disperse. I guess it might lighten it.
Yes, it makes it a slightly lighter batter.
But also lighter because you won't have to mix it as much to get the lumps out or to get it dispersed evenly. Okay. Does the book have the beating times for novice bakers? It's a good question. Does the book have the beating times? Probably not. So. I don't think it does. But if we have to see it, I mean, this is our first book. And if you look at our new book, we are much more specific about things to do and what to use and what bowl and how to use it, because we've learnt over the years that information is really, really useful. For this one, it didn't. It just said beat till light. And so you want the eggs and sugar to be pale and light.
That's right.
And almost smooth, so that you can't feel the sugar. And then you add in the oil until it's incorporated, and the vanilla. And now Natty is just folding in. I just want to show you how thick it is. Folding in. It's a thick batter, like a thick pancake batter. And
just until you don't see any more white flour in it. You don't want to overbeat it.
Yeah.
So just
fold
in that flour until it's gone.
So the question from Lois is, what type of flour? We are just using plain flour, which is the same as all-purpose in the States. It's just the most basic, plain, middle-range protein flour.
Okay,
so
and there's my batter done.
Okay, hopefully everybody's up to the batter stage. And it's a really pourable, thick, but very thick, like pancake batter, really. Looks like maybe it'd make nice pancakes. Okay, cinnamon sugar. So we're having another little debate this morning about cinnamon sugar. I always have this in my pantry. It's a jar of cinnamon sugar. Oh yeah, I mean you need a minute to catch up. Sure. Okay. So I'm just going to talk about cinnamon sugar.
Yes.
So Natty uses. No, I'm not going to say. A lot of people use the one from the supermarket. I think the spice companies make a cinnamon sugar. I say why.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
What you need to do is get 1 cup of caster sugar, or white sugar if that's all you've got, and add in 2 tablespoons, and that's the Australian 20 ml tablespoon, which is 4 teaspoons. So adding in 8 teaspoons or 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, and then you put it in a jar and you label it and you shake it up, and there is cinnamon sugar for whatever you need. Different recipes have different levels of cinnamon to sugar. This is the one that has the highest because we want it to be really, really cinnamony. This is great for donuts. We've got an amazing recipe in the second book for, they're called sufganiyot. They're Israeli donuts, and you make a batter not dissimilar to that consistency, and you spoon that into hot oil, and they puff up into these gorgeous,
It is.
like misshapen donuts, and then you roll them in this, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Just by the by.
Right.
Okay, can we repeat? Yes, 1 cup of sugar to 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And yes, we are using Dutch cinnamon, which is cassia, ground cassia. Yeah, so it depends where you buy your spices. This is a beautiful one from Gewürzhaus, which I absolutely
And you can order
love.
that online, anyone.
So that's a really, really
Gets
nice
delivered
product.
to you.
Gewürzhaus in Australia, Gewurzhaus. Also, Herbie's is an excellent spice company. Also, you can buy them online. It's worth buying good spices. But every day I just use, which you don't love, the Spice & Co. from my local fruit shop, because that's what they have and it works fine. So that's this one.
But which one did you use in here? Let me see.
Well, can you tell is the question.
Yes, you used Gewürzhaus. Because smell it. It's beautiful.
I think once it's combined with the sugar, it will all smell good anyway.
Okay.
So whatever you do, though, I think it's better than the one that's already made in the packet.
I'm sure it is.
Okay, so that is 1 cup of caster sugar and 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, and that lasts for a long time, you know, for a couple of months in your pantry. How much cinnamon for the 1.5 tablespoons? Exactly this amount. So I make a jar. I would never make it enough for just 1.5 tablespoons.
No, that's
I would
right.
make a whole jar, and now we're going to take out of this 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon sugar. Okay.
I can't tell you. I must have made this cake hundreds and hundreds of times over the years from the time we were given the recipe, and at least half the times that I've made it, I forget to do this step. We always forget to put the layer of cinnamon sugar on top of the apples.
Well, we'll tell you a little bit of inside information is that in the first book, the photo, if you look carefully, doesn't have the cinnamon layer, because we were in the middle of a photo shoot and someone made the cake, forgot the cinnamon layer, and we just went, oh, we just can't be bothered.
But I think we had already forgotten it, and then we made it again.
Okay.
And we forgot it again.
This is so we need 1.5 tablespoons, and we're going to sprinkle it. And remember, our tablespoons, as I said earlier, are
bigger
Australian tablespoons, which are the same as 4 teaspoons. American tablespoons are 3 teaspoons. Goodness knows why people can't have the same measurements across the world. And don't get me started on metric versus imperial. But so for the American people watching, we're very happy to have you actually. You will need to put in 2 of your tablespoons. Yeah, because it's 6 teaspoons in total. Okay, so 6 teaspoons.
And it seems like quite a lot, but you've got a lot of apple in there. So.
Yeah, and you do want to see that lovely layer of cinnamon sugar.
Yeah.
And another 1/2 tablespoon. That's right.
Yep.
And this is just adds a lovely texture, a lovely touch to this cake.
Yeah.
Okay, so cinnamon sugar. So is everyone up to that? So you should have all your 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon sugar over the apples, and it looks lovely and cinnamony. Okay, so is everyone up to that? Juliana, if your oven is fan forced, I'd probably do 165 for starters. It's just whatever you normally bake cakes on, generally, is 180. Yeah, for us. Yeah.
All right.
All right. We ready? We ready for the batter?
So the next step is just to pour the batter all over the top of your apples, which I'm just going to.
Oh, it looks so luscious. So luscious from here. Wow. It's just coming out in ribbons of, it's just beautiful. You can see it's such a simple cake. I know where it's taking time here because we're chatting and whatever, but as soon as your apples are peeled, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it's fabulous to have a cake that's dairy-free.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people at the moment who are dairy-free and have problems with dairy, so it ticks a lot of boxes as well. I had someone the other night for dinner that was dairy-free and gluten-free, and it's quite a challenge to find a meal that ticks all those boxes. I did. Okay, if you're halving the recipe, how many eggs? I probably wouldn't halve it. I would probably go 2/3 and make it 2/3.
If you wanted to make a really small one, yes, you could do 1/3.
But if you really want to halve it, would you just do 2 eggs?
Yeah, two smaller
eggs.
Because we use quite big eggs.
The other thing you can do is you can crack an egg into a cup, weigh it, beat it, measure half of it, put half aside for the next day. You have scrambled eggs and use 1.5 eggs. So it is possible.
But this is such an easy recipe to divide into thirds. Just 2/3 makes sense.
Okay, so Natty's scraping it out.
Sorry, I'm just getting it all out.
Okay. We'd love to hear from you also what you would like us to cook next time. We've got another one scheduled for the 10th of August, a Monday. So we'd love to hear some thoughts of what you'd like us to cook. And would you like a cook along, or would you prefer just a demo at our pace? Okay, so
you want all the apples to be covered right to the edge with the batter. So you don't need to muck around too much with it, but you just want it all covered. And then it's going. Then we've got to put another layer of
this is the question. I personally don't like what happens to cinnamon sugar on the top of the cake in the oven. It doesn't dissolve and it just looks messy to me. So I wouldn't put it on the top. But do you want to put it on the top?
What does the recipe say?
It says to put it on the top. It says it's optional, actually.
I usually do, but it's up to you.
Well, we'll put it on just because.
Well, we didn't on the last one.
Yeah,
so why don't we do it on this?
Right. How much would you do? A tablespoon?
Yeah.
I just find.
I always do.
Isn't it funny? I find that it doesn't look pretty.
I don't have a problem with it on this cake at all.
And the one in the book, it is actually on the top. The picture in the book has it in 2011.
You know, and you could, I think it's a lovely suggestion. What someone suggested, the Rapadura sugar on top would be beautiful, and then you'd get a lovely crunch.
See, the problem that I have with sprinkling is see how unevenly I've done it?
Yeah, but that's
it's hard to do it evenly.
It doesn't need to be even.
It requires great talent that I don't have to get it perfectly even layer. Like Nadine Ingram could do it from Flour and Stone, right? I'm just unable.
I don't think you need to.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Okay, and now that is going into the oven for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. It is a really big, heavy cake.
Yeah, so
give it the time. It needs that time to cook.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Oh, someone wants Rogalach. Yeah, good idea. Okay, going in the oven. Yeah, Rogalach's a great idea, actually. Pastry or yeast. Yeah, yeast is just hard for a cook along because it just requires time. We'd have to do a 4-hour cook along, which is really.
Or a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah, we're going to think about that actually. Yeah. What about a layer of apples, then dough, then apples again? Yeah, sure, try it. But you'll see what happens with this cake is you get a beautiful layer of pressed apples with pastry on top.
It's a different cake.
Just a demo is good. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so oven temperature is 180, non-fan forced, and we are doing 1 hour and 20 minutes cooking time. And I just want to show you the one we made earlier. Okay, so oven temperature, I've covered that. Yeah, Rogalach might be a good idea. We've actually got a fantastic recipe from our second book that might be fun to do. I love it. Okay.
Just having some
leftover so the cake is in the oven now. Set the timer for 1 hour and set it for 1 hour and 10. The cooking time is definitely 120, but always check it 10 minutes earlier. Okay, would you do 1 egg if just for 2 people? Yes, 1 egg.
So you make 1/3 of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
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 And how long would you cook it for? Depends how high it is. Yeah, you'd have to test it and have a look. You want it to look like this when it comes out. So you can see the top has sort of got a
beautiful
crusty, I don't know how you, like it's almost like the crust of a meringue, but it's not a meringue. It's very crusty on the top. And I'm just going to lift it off. Can you take the base out for me?
I might help you.
Oh. So you can't get it off the paper. Don't even try. It's too not fragile, but it's too floppy to get off. So I'm going to serve it on the base as it is, and that's fine. Okay. All right. Thanks, Amit. You like the cook along. Rami, donuts. Yeah, maybe we'll do.
Oh, that would be fun.
I think we'll wait till the end of the year when it's Hanukkah. Yeah. Okay. So shall we cut this and have a bit?
Maybe they could have them now.
Yeah.
The donuts.
Yeah.
And again at Hanukkah.
Okay.
Because that's a great recipe to do.
All right. We're going to need a thing. It's a beautiful cake and it's very desserty because it's soft like a, you know, It's just beautiful.
The texture of the cooked layered apples. That's where it gets the name pie from. Because the filling
you've
is
got
like
the apples and then the sort of pastry on top. Mine seeped through quite a bit, and the cinnamon layer.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have one. So please email us and let us know what you'd like next time. I'm going to read all these notes later. We need donuts now. Yeah, I agree. Maybe we'll do donuts next on Monday the 10th.
I do love the simplicity of just the apples and cinnamon. It's really, it's just everything.
Yes, let the cake. Well, if you can eat this cake warm, like pudding, which is beautiful. So then you would just let it cool till warm and then serve it. The
apples have a jammy consistency because they've cooked beautifully, and it's just lovely. How lovely is that? Simple, wholesome,
and everything you would have in your pantry.
Yeah,
which is what I really like about it.
Yeah.
All right. Any more comments? Yes, there's so many. Okay. What about pie apples?
No. You won't. It'll just turn to mush because it's cooking for so long. Well, you wouldn't cook it for that long, but you wouldn't get this. You wouldn't see. You get the beautiful layers that you can actually see, and the jamminess.
Yeah.
It would just be mushy.
Yeah. So if you want to reheat it later, someone's asked, I would call it in the tin. I made this one last night. I'm going to serve it for dessert tonight. I'm going to reheat it and serve it with, I don't mind dairy, so I'm going to serve it with ice cream or custard.
That's fine.
Which would be really nice, yeah.
It would be so beautiful. I would serve it cold with warm custard.
Yeah.
Divine.
Or warm with cold custard. So we've got an IGTV video we did the other day where we made a beautiful, simple pouring custard, which is lovely. There's lots of things that go with it. And if you do just want a dairy dessert, you just serve it as is, and it's just lovely.
Yeah.
Can we do more Friday sessions? Look, if there's enough requests for it, absolutely.
Oh, it's nice, actually.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
You could serve it with rhubarb compote. It's actually, you mean put rhubarb in it?
Apple and rhubarb.
That would be really nice
beautiful. Too. Yes.
Yeah, cool cake and hot custard. So thank you everybody for coming along and joining us. I hope you've had fun. I'm going to send an email out later or tomorrow just with the recipe again, and just to tell you what's coming up next for Monday Morning Cooking Club.
Can you see? I don't know.
We'd love to do more of these online things on Zoom because we really love the community that we're forming with all of you. And we love to have you all in the kitchen and talk back to us. It's beautiful.
So Chris, let us know what you want us to make. And
Chris wants to know, would cardamom work? And we can do a few more questions minutes of questions. Cardamom,
definitely.
Yes.
And if you're doing the cardamom, I would add some orange zest as well. I think the orange zest, the cardamom and the apples would be a lovely mixture. Yeah.
Tamara, yes, you can add berries. Just a handful through the apples would be great. Rhubarb and ginger, yes. Sue, let us know how that goes.
I'm doing
could you add dulce de leche? Well, that's what you were saying. She would like. Would you like dulce de leche on top of the apples?
Well, like the caramel. Yes, exactly. I think that would be really, really lovely.
Yeah. So Fridays are good for a lot of people. That's great.
Great.
What KitchenAid speed to mix the eggs and the sugar? Medium.
Medium. Yeah.
Most things we do on medium. Start slow and build up to medium.
But just take your time. You don't need to rush it. Like you want to really lighten that mixture in colour and in texture.
Yeah. And please, when your cakes come out of the oven, we love nothing more. It gives us the greatest of joy for you to put it on social and to tag us so we can share it, because, it just makes us happy.
We want to see.
Yeah, we really want to see what you make. And
everyone
if you try
that's got
rhubarb,
their cake now in the oven, please let us see them when they come out.
So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. This video will also be on YouTube when I get around to putting it on, maybe this afternoon, so you can watch it again if you want to follow along. How do you know when the cake's done? Good question, Ricky. Look, it says to put a skewer in, which is sort of hard with a fruit cake.
I don't like to, because then you've got to hold.
I went in under the crack.
Really?
Yeah.
Look, you can actually look.
But you can tell it's very solid.
Have a look at the colour as well. It's a deep golden, and the edges are nice and brown.
And it only went that deep golden colour towards the end, so you really do need the cooking time.
especially if
Yeah.
you've made it this size.
Yeah. So I look forward to, and Tanya, Sarah Lux says hello.
Oh, hi. Well, are you in Sydney or are you overseas? I taught her when she was 5. She's now a mother.
Amazing. Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Good luck to all of you good luck's probably the wrong word, but hang in there for all of you in Melbourne.
Yes.
And fingers crossed for all of us everywhere else. And
everyone stays safe.
Big hugs from us to all of you around the world. She's in New York.
Oh, I hope you're doing okay.
Thanks, everybody. So
and
nice to have
Shalom,
you.
everyone.
And just a little shout out, if you haven't got our new book, this is it, Now for Something Sweet, available all around the world except the US, which will be the 3rd of November.
Oh, maybe we should do the apple cake from that
That's
one.
a very good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you next time. I will send an email just to let you all know what's coming next, because we're going to have a big chat about it now. Thank you all and have a beautiful weekend.
Yeah.
Enjoy whatever you're doing. And in lockdown, I hope you find some relief somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you all.
See you.
All right. Bye all. Now I'm going to do that awkward little move where I go over there and turn it off and nothing's really happening.
And wave goodbye and eat cake.
See you, everybody. I've got to find the thing to turn it off.